Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. This is Shirley with Spirit of Matter, and I got a little nudge to take a look at the cold case. And before I even take a look at the cold case, you can go to Peter R. de Vries Foundation, whether on Twitter, X, YouTube, or Instagram. And I know the case is in Dutch, but you know how we work with the techniques. You don't need too much to begin to address it. And I see it is moon day, moon hour. Just finished call speaking with my own mom, Moon, and the moon is on 22 degrees Gemini, just crossed Jupiter. So I got a serious nudge to take a look at the cold case. And Mercury, the ruler of moon, is 11 degree Scorpio. And I said, okay, let's take a look. Let's do something. I can't do it right now live. Note at the red color here. This is very Marsy. Okay. Without knowing anything about the case, something of somebody, I don't know if they were missing or killed, year 2010 matters. Right now, the chart. So right now, this is moon day, moon hour. Of course, I'm calling on Celine, the courage of Celine, and invoking the power of the moon to manifest solution, to manifest the visibility of the case, to manifest for what needs to come out, okay, of this. And the moon just crossed Jupiter. The ruler is Mercury, and and the moon is in the 5th house, which means we have descended to 7th house. Yes, we have 7th house, yes, Gemini, Cancer, and then Leo, which gives us Ascendant Aquarius. Okay, so Ascendant Aquarius, Saturn in Pisces, which would be the 12th house. So, Mercury itself, okay, is in Scorpio, which is playing out such that Mars is the direct ruler. Mercury is 11 degrees, which is degree of electrocution, suicide. Jupiter and Mercury are to do with children, but also with trade, with Mercury, trade, law. Okay, both Jupiter and Mercury have to do with law. Mercury is the cunningness of law, and Jupiter is the philosophy of heuristics, but also ruling jury. Okay. Again, Jupiter Gemini is in detriment, but is also the meeting of philosophy and applied science. Mars, as we know, is applying to Pluto, and we have, yes, we have this Mars in this prominent 10th house, ruling the prominent 10th house, ruling the midheaven. So one thing that happened in the background, okay, I spoke with my mother and she told me Israel is bombing banks in Lebanon so that the banks will not supposedly give money to the Hezbollah. Now we know that Lebanon, the government, is not so fond of funding Hezbollah. Okay, we know Lebanon it never liked Hezbollah, the people never liked Hezbollah. That's the strong card that Israel supposedly have to attack there. And yet we are bombing banks, which in terms of World Economic Forum makes a lot of sense. I did NATO chart earlier, and I talked about how war is to do with economy, and today I wake up to this. So this is happening in the environment of being exposed to the cold case, and I got a huge nudge to take a look at this cold case. So you see, I look at what is surrounding, what's coming, what is the nervous system around which this cold case is reactivated in my sight. That's the way that we do it, okay? One of the ways that we do it. And so definitely there's warfare to do with banks, desire of World Economic Forum to finish banks, not to make them finish, but to, unfortunately perhaps, but to finish them off, is basically because there is desire to have one currency, And we know that Lebanon banks were not really the source of funding for Hezbollah. So, so that is an important strategic move that connects us to strategic acts against banks in order to drop the economic system, use war to drop economic system, and do a new currency. We had it in the Second World War, or to quote Mark Rutte and take him out of context completely. Okay, so this is completely butchering the quote because it's taken completely out of context. Where he said, on a small scale, we had something like this in the Second World War. And we know he's an agenda contributor to World Economic Forum. So that is in the background. And the funny thing is I got notified by a call from my mom, which is a moon hour, moon day. Moon is 22 degrees Gemini. So to me, this is the fourth house. And indeed, I'm sitting on the porch, wondering if I should, go somewhere. But no. And I get the nudge to look at the case. The case is from 2010. I know nothing else about it. Quite from on the get-go, the degrees that appear are to do with 22 moon and 11th degree Mercury in Mars sign, when Mars is opposing Pluto now. So something definitely has to do with the very 2030 agenda and the Second World War of replacing cash and replacing trade. This I get from the get-go. Why the moon matters here, something to do with caregiving. Moon is caregiving, is food, caring for children. And again, I think the person that we talk about was not a child, or was he? I don't know. So we have a combination again of moon 22 on a mundane level can be murdered people. So this could have been something to do with perhaps practicing for intelligence, kidnapping and murdering of civilians. And if so, there can be something to do with the workplace of the person, or the workplace of the father or mother of the person. There may have been attempt to make this look like suicide, or use of electricity or electronics. Okay, there's something technological about this, but this is war technology. May have been an experiment of war technology that is involved. This is what I get from the get-go. Yeah, had the blinking here. Look at that. Okay, this is going from the red to the white flickering light. There is the beta per se, which we know is associated with banking. And she would be in the fourth house right now with Uranus. She's not directly pinpointed, okay? So the way she is pinpointed is by this Mars opposing Pluto and sextiling beta per se. So Mars is applying to sextile beta per se, but square Aries, which means that there's the vibe of a financial revolution that would eventually be supportive of the feminine, okay? And I say eventually because it's not like women enjoy this time, but it definitely leads to depletion of that which, depletion of what emasculates, but also depletion of what causes disconnection with our natural sexual energy. This is what Uranus beta per se does. But there's the square to the Ubermensch project, which I addressed, and you can watch my yesterday Instagram post on the topic. So all in all, again, just knowing nothing about the case, something here immediately sparks that this case is a part of what's been going on right now. And it's old, okay? Why would this person be taken seems to be beyond for the person. Now, Ascendant is usually the person who asks the questions, and I don't even know who am I asking the question about. So in terms of the moon, the conjunction to Jupiter is giving something with law, juristic, trade, children, philosophy, but applied. There may have been like agenda, and then you try to apply the agenda, and you make all these experiments. Saturn rule in the 12th house can have to do with what we call witchcraft. Now, witchcraft can be a wonderful manifestation of wealth and abundance that is totally benefic, but it can also be malefic, okay? It can also be mind control. And Saturn is in Jupiter's sign, with Jupiter in the 5th. So there's something going from the 1st to the 12th to the 5th. Indeed, I got a nudge to do for this episode, to take a look at this episode. Knowing nothing about the case. I'm just trying a technology of looking at cold cases that we have available since antiquity. Okay, what is popping up near the surroundings, telling us of whatever is involved, okay, with this. Saturn is the things Saturn, there's a phone call that was related to that, phone call from parent, the war. But those should be the circumstances. It tells me that whatever happened to this person was a sort of either because of one of the parents, and not because the parents did that, but more like your parent works in a bank or your parent works in some place, and they're being targeted. With Mars, of course, blood and bloodline, we immediately saw the color red, which in this case I don't interpret as Rute, but Rosicrucians or Rothschild, which is to do with blood and bloodline. And then the flickering light, which is Algol, of Algol origin. This tells me what is being done with Algol is that she's worshipped in various ways. One way is to give reverence, which I promote, to give reverence, housing first to people, belief testimonial of people. This curates schizophrenia, and belief when people say they've been abducted, they've been sex trafficked, they had experiments done on them. And we know our entire political system, everybody makes decisions, visible and invisible. They all are survivors of these things, okay? And sometimes not survivors because you want to read my Instagram post about this. Yes, it would make it more clear, especially when it comes to Aries. But this tells me that this child this person have been either taken down, because these degrees do not give me a missing person. They give me a person that very likely, with this chart, very likely not alive, okay? I'm not saying for sure, but the 22 and the 11th, and the Rahu in Ketu, Mars rules Rahu. Rahu is in 5 degrees of royalty, okay? Rahu and Ketu are 5 degrees of royalty. And so we are purging of the old currency of royalty, Ketu, 5 degrees Libra. And we have new, it's not new order yet. With this Rahu, it's new currency, new real estate, new banking, 5 degrees royal, okay? Remember, check what I do when I do, okay, I did NATO chart. I said head of NATO right now, Mark Rutte is taken to this role because he's seen as royalty and a part of a financial organization that, again, we don't have charge for WEF, but very likely owned and associated with royalty, that's owned and associated with the banking system, is connected to Vatican. So It's connected to the Ubermensch project, and you want to watch again Mama versus Mafia. And remember, whenever she says Zionists, remember the Zionists, they cut dividends to Vatican, which means that they pay protection to are those in power, and that means the Vatican still has quite some power that the banking system that supposedly owns also royal family does not. And that's something that we all should be taken into considerations. This is a time where the Rosicrucians and the Red Templars and the Freemasons and the Illuminatis and all the orders, they have chaos within them. So it's time where the old tree dies, the Centaurians die. Okay, and by the way, Peter R. de Vries, which cold case I look at the foundation of, was perhaps said to be a Centaurian, and maybe he rebelled. He talks against WHO, and so we know he's no longer here, supposedly because crime organization so-and-so, Moroccan mafia killed him. So they maybe were in charge of the rifle, but perhaps very likely not in charge of the order. And unless it's Muslims Brotherhood of Satan, which is another things that we all need to take into consideration, as the war is said to be between Judeo-Christians and Muslims. And Peter was quite a bridging, okay? He was not religious, and he was not against Islam, and he was not against Judeo-Christianity either. It was just like but that also is a part of what's happening. He perhaps was said to be a Centaurian, but perhaps because he rebelled, he did not live to 100. But many people like Kissinger, hidden forces, that deceased, and now there is a rivalry on who will be the new owners of the old money. And there's a change of the currency happening in that context, and of course is scheduled to have world war. What else? So this tiny case supposedly is at the very least one of the people they made exercises on when it comes to weapon for to take them down. Now, it's not impossible, and I want to raise the conversation, I want to pop the conversation. We know we have a mind control, and we know we have a lot of psychic attacks, and we call spiritual warfare. And this, by the way, does not our what you call reptilians or elite, they're not excluded from that, okay? So it's not impossible that what is interfered with this person's schedule was these urges that people create. If you listen to Anneke Lucas' interview, then she was in Expandable Children Project and then was taken to be child espionage and child assassin. So they teach her all the singing, the performance, the this, the that. Then they unfortunately do a lot of torture and rape, and then for her to forget things, and then they send her to seduce, which is a very funny word because it is a child. Yet they take this child in the Ubermensch project, they take these children and they make of them, okay, like it's not robots, because what they imbue them with is actually for the most humane. So she was supposed to show for person that he is loved in a way that he's never been loved. And the way that why it worked is because this person was also expandable child. So he was deprived of his needs, and then when somebody feels those needs as somebody's child, and he's been so isolated and deprived of these needs, that with that person works. Whereas with a sexually healthy man who grew with love, that would unlikely, okay? He would more likely to feel something is off. Hey, that person is a child. Something very weird happens when he's interacting with that child. Maybe he would freeze, and then would defreeze, and if he will have a network where he could talk about it, he could perhaps save this child. But when this person that's within the system and developed both sadistic traits and still needs love, okay, then this is where the match
and that match would cause this person to do whatever, okay, done, and then that would be on film, then the child completely forgotten, then the memory reignited with the handler, and the handler is basically the spy that moves this information around. And so she said she was programmed to give urges to people to do something that's relevant to the agenda. Okay? Also, when I say I got a nudge to take a look at this case, I don't know where this nudge is coming from, what does it serve, but I am exposing for you what everything this associated is very likely a part of how this person disappeared, how this person got to be there in the first place. Can be that he got a nudge to go here, nudge to go there. Now, sometimes it looks like intuition, and intuition can come as an urge to do something, okay? Especially if you are particularly fiery, or if you have your, fiery placements and so on. So that person may have gotten a nudge to be where he was supposed to be, and then they did of what they did. And this is a part of a type of mind control that's given into that. And perhaps the coverage of this case, okay, just also have to look at this and say, hey, I got a nudge to do that. It is also part of the covering of this case. Well, I just said, okay, let's do it. I mean, I look at the chart and I see there is Moon 22 degrees, there is Mercury 11 degrees. Let's see what I see in the chart. For year 2010, Neptune was still in Aquarius, where Pluto is about to ingress. Not much to say beyond that. We are approaching a Saturn to Neptune conjunction, also in Aries. So I said a lot of Neptune and Saturn things that are like message in a bottle pop out of the ocean to be close, to be understood. Now, what I give right now is not solution to the case. I don't know who's the person who shot the shot. I don't this, I don't that. But just like, if I take a look, let's take a look at Peter's case, because Peter R. de Vries, okay, famous journalist, cold cases that he did, and this is a cold case basically for the foundation. And he was assassinated. Okay, so he was shot 5 times when he was at the, moving from towards the parking lot in the street in Amsterdam, going out of, I think it was RTL, and sat in hospital for 9 days. 15 July, 9 days after, he is announced dead after some person who was exempt from being citizen of Netherlands, Hans Medma, had tremendous recognition in his case in the, I think it was the UN, when he spoke about torture that he has gone through, and his wife, that was forced marriage, has gone through under Supreme Court Judge Joris Demming, allegedly, and Joris Demming being also for this kind of mole X, where he would have to do these films to be at the role that he was, very likely born into that. Then Hans Medma somehow managed to escape and wanted to expose the entire thing. He called this Watergate of Netherlands. And so 15 July gets more recognition, and de Vries, who also spoke against the WHO, was befriended with Demming, but also not against Moroccans, and not unfamiliar with Taghi, was announced dead. Okay, so you could say, yeah, there was this Delano guy, this Polish guy, and then Taghi gave order, and then he announced that he put Peter on the killing list, and we have immediate shooter, immediate this, case closed, right? This go to jail, that go to jail, that. But Warren gave the order for Supreme Court, and Peter was helping state witness, for Supreme Court leaked information on state witness. It was obvious there's something happening here to do with intelligence, and the fact that Peter was not fond of WHO may have played a giant role in that, by the fact that he was liked or loved by, whoever prime minister was then or whatnot. But this goes beyond certain things. And so, yes, we could say we solved the case when we found the shooter and they put this in jail and put that in jail, and they did shoot the person. But the actual case, the order is very likely on the way higher up, because Peter was supposed to be a Centaurian and he didn't go with the agenda. Doesn't mean that he didn't do other things that maybe when Ascendant was going, when Saturn is going to go over his midheaven again, then his Mars, then after a year or two his Moon. Of course, we're going to hear some things, and of course, there are going to be all kinds of forces that are going to try to create all kinds of images. But this is where, when I address for this cold case, I say, let's take a look at wherein came the order. Because if you want to find the person that did that, they're very likely mind control. But if you want to solve for the case, for to do something, because this person, wherever he is, usually when people deceased cross over, they go to a better place. Okay, they go to a better place, they go to recover, they go for a journey wherever is better. Okay, but if you want for the rest in peace, for the family, for to rest in peace, what happened? Well, it's not yet time to rest in peace, because this thing is a part of this current world war that's associated with the very upbringing of our leaders, royal and democratic, and bankers. So if you want the name of the shooters, probably some very mind-controlled person that very likely had very little say about what to do there. But what actually happened, if we take a look at the network of association, we do a little bit of more deep learning of what association, what things, it's not association, okay, what things pop up around this case. And we take a look at color, and we take a look at frequency. We take a look at that nudge that I got, because wherein that nudge came from. And we take a look, that nudge was timely, because the Moon was on degree 22 and Mercury was on degree 11. And we take a look at the conversation, what's happening right now in the world, okay, for the information and the phone call and everything to do with that. Then we say those things are the noise under which that person was very likely eradicated. And that person could have been just a person, okay? With the Mercury in the 10th house, and the fact that I'm questioning about that which is the 22, so that which is the Moon, in Mercury sign, Mars sign, it can be that that person or that child was either assassin child, or that was set to commit suicide, I don't know, or that something to do with the boss, mother or father, something to do. It's not that the mother or father did that to the child, okay? Just to emphasize this. It's just that he was targeted because of, okay? Something like that. Particularly mother, okay, with the Moon. Moon is also housing. Moon is also the people on a mundane chart, with Ascendant Aquarius, Cancer. Yes, would be a 6th house. So 6th house in the 5th, so this could be a child that had work, okay? Maybe that was mind controlled, or it could be somebody that welfare works with children. Welfare to kidnap or to assassinate, but I don't even know the age of the person. But definitely that has something to do with the disappearance or the missing, and is very likely, yes, for murder. Murder in this case could have been doing leisure activity that maybe has to do with work at a home, or that the duty somebody was feeling was also joyous, okay, it was fun, or a gamble. Somebody was working to take a gamble on a child, or lawyer. Okay, but somebody, if that's a child, or somebody's child, or he was killed because it was somebody's child. It's given all those things. Okay, so again, it's not going to give you who is the shooter, where is the case of what has happened. The Moon itself tells me, of some leisure activity, but this leisure activity had to do with murder. So murder for entertainment can be snuff film. I don't want to say, okay, I don't want to trigger too much, but it can be something like that. So I don't want to get too much into the details because that might not be. There's always a set of things that can happen. Okay, there's a set of things that can happen. Some of them are quite horrendous, and I really don't want to go there. But so I can't provide for the family what was the shooter, what was the this, what was the that, for the things that would make them okay. Put the finger of blame here. Not when the ruler of Ascendant is pointing to Neptune, which is something way vast, way more grand, and is pointing to a certain industry or to a certain type of regime to do with health. Okay, I think it's understandable from what I'm saying what that can be. And just saying, okay, this person did that thing, I think would not solve the case here and would not put the family to rest, because they would ask why. So I think I managed to begin to provide an answer on the why. And this answer is way more complex, because any person you would point the finger of blame at is basically a part of the abuse, part of being the targets of the abuse of this very system. And just knowing that and setting intention to untangle that, I think, is a common good that we can all agree on, regardless of where we're coming from, what is our position on the matter. So thank you for watching.